Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fan.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, April 14th, 2025, and you are in the Java Cafe. Welcome again this morning. First of all, let's shout out to Corey Select, Jay Rect. What's up, brother? Kamani Jones. Haven't seen that name in a while. Fits who I think it is. And also Wedlocked and Loaded, who's over on Instagram. We'll go to Facebook in just a moment and say good morning. Listen, before I bring our guest in, I put a post up earlier and I just wanted to mention this, that there was a shooting this morning around Yesie's in the area of like Blue Hill and American Legion. And then per Sacco, we saw reported down the street near the Brook Charter School, there was a fight between two adults. Let me clarify, adults, not, it wasn't reported right now that it was students. And they ran into the brook to call for ambulance. Those two incidents are very close to each other. And, you know, the incident was reported to me this morning, someone that witnessed it. And it was young people. And then that incident being near the school, those Stacko reported adults, we just don't know. And so, you know, be careful in that area. And also, if you have children that go to the Brook Charter School, just check in with them about things like horse playing and stuff before school and after school. So I just wanted to mention that to community to be sure that we are aware, one, of those two incidents, and two, just they're right close to each other. So we're here this morning to talk also in a time where there are a lot of changes in various type of laws and policies. One change that from my memory has been out there, I want to go back. I can go back assuredly as far as 2019 when I was subcontracted or worked with a contractor that was contracted with the Federal Department of Labor. Part of our job was informing our programs that we worked with that in a couple of years, you were going to be required to have something called a real ID in order to enter certain federal buildings, I believe, to fly. And we're going to get clarity in just a few moments. And so with so much ambiguity and changes in a lot of laws and policies rather right now, we thought it was important. And our good registrar, Carlene, because she's been here a couple of times, thought it was important to come back and make sure that I used the statement earlier that we're not trying to get the real ID at the last minute, but I was properly told, oh, it's the last minute. And so not a stranger to the Java Cafe. Registrar, welcome again with us. You came before and gave us some information. I believe it was about the ability for folks to get their either driver's license or ID that may have a immigration experience. I believe that was the last time you was, I don't really remember, but you were here.
Family mobility.
Yes,
so
yes.
Boston, yes.
Well, you know, you're a state person, so please be sure to say good morning, Massachusetts.
Good morning, Massachusetts as well.
How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am doing well. I am, you know, familiar with this topic as someone that worked in a federal space a few years ago. And I made the comment to your comms person and said, you know, we want to make sure that folks aren't waiting until the last minute. And he nicely said to me, Jimmy, it is the last minute. And so before we get into that, if you're not a stranger to the cafe, but if you can tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do there at the registry, and then we're going to jump in and really talk about this real ID, what it is, what you need to do to go get it, your sense of the process right now for Massachusetts residents that need to get it, and then what some limitations may be if you don't have it. And of course, we cannot, I'm going to say this a lot today, May 7th, I believe, which is a Tuesday or
Wednesday.
We need to know, that's my theme on Wednesdays. Wednesday, May 7th, is the required day that you need to have this. And so, Registrar, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do there at the registry, and we're going to jump right into the real of the Real ID.
All right. Good morning. And first of all, I'd like to say congratulations, Jimmy, with the 5-year anniversary this spring. I'm not sure for you if it's past the date's coming upon us, but be great to hear about that. So much congratulations on your success of bringing really important information to all of our residents here in Massachusetts in a way that they can connect and relate to. So thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.
My name is Colleen Ogilvie. I'm the Registrar of Motor Vehicles here in Massachusetts, which means I lead the motor vehicle agency that we do driver-related services, so licenses and IDs. We register vehicles and title vehicles. We also are the agency responsible for applying sanctions to driver's licenses and credentials. We're also responsible for the vehicle inspection program, so your safety and vehicle emission. We also do school bus inspections 3 times a year. So there's a variety of different things that the registry does besides issue driver's license and registrations. I've been in this role for leading the agency since January of 2021. I've had the privilege to be in this role to connect with so many residents in Massachusetts and continue to provide services in what I like to call is continuous improvement. There's always opportunity to learn and hear and adjust things in a way that makes the customer experience better. And we certainly have a very active legislature and federal government that a lot of the work we do also is related to complying with the laws and regulations in Massachusetts, as well as new federal standards that require us to meet those. So we're pretty busy. From a personal perspective, I love to play tennis. I don't get to play enough. And through most of my adult life, I've had at least one dog, 2 golden retrievers in the past. And right now I have a Havanese who is 14 years old, and she's just a love.
Well, we're discussing serious business, but I have to say, that was one of the best endings and just tying everything together on the personal piece, because there is the business, but I think it's important for folks to just get a sense of who the person is that is giving us this information. And so, Registrar, let me ask one thing, because when I posted that you were coming on, there's a lot of chatter on Facebook about your appearance today. And one of the things that I saw in the context of, and I'm going to say that our registrar is just speaking to the federal requirement for states to support individuals to get their real ID. The SAVE Act and everything that's going on, our registrar has nothing to deal with. However, I wanted, if you don't mind, to clarify in relationship to federal election registration. What does the Real ID do, not do in that context? And then we're just going to go into general what the Real ID does. But can you just for a couple of seconds clarify, because in this time of a lot of misinformation, we want to make sure that the community has the right information of what the Real ID does and does not do to any potential policy changes in registering for a federal election.
Sure. So I'm not as familiar with what's happening at the federal level and the use of the Real ID credential, but back in 2005, the 9/11 Commission, related to the terrible terrorist acts that happened in the United States, in New York and Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C., passed the Real ID Act, which is really setting the standards for state motor vehicle agencies that issue driver's license and identification cards, government issued IDs, meet standards for physical plant security in terms of where those transactions are processed and who processes them, the standards of some security features that are required on those documents to work against fraud, as well as create a document that has the Real ID symbol, which in Massachusetts is a white star in the upper right-hand corner surrounded by a yellow or gold circle. And so that is the symbol of something's Real ID compliant. Related to that, the standards require that states meet certain identification standards for compliancy to be able to issue those. So that is 2 forms of residency in the state you're in. So 2 forms of residency in Massachusetts have to be shown when you apply for a real ID credential in Massachusetts. We have to see proof of your lawful presence, and that's usually in the form of a birth certificate or an active passport. And then we also need to see proof of your social security number, which is not only the number, but also a document that proves the full number. So many cases it's the social security card. In some cases, it could be other tax-related documents before they stopped printing the entire number. So for motor vehicle departments, our focus has been on the identity of people, the documents that prove lawful presence. And when you get into voting, that goes, certainly in different areas, in conversations more about citizenship. So in Massachusetts right now, I'm not aware of the Real ID being used or focused on for anything other than being able to get you onto a commercial air flight, secure areas of a federal building if need be, or power plant.
I want to ask you again specifically to name again what you were going into it. One, thank you for giving us the history, because to your comms team point, with this being the last minute, this has been in the making for 20 years. And so and I think you get this context and your intentionality of coming into this type of space is that, a lot of individuals, marginalized communities for various reasons, don't always have the information. So we are up against a deadline. With that in mind, Registrar, what does the real, I guess the better way to name it is, what are the limits? What will you not be able to do? Where will you not be able to go if you wake up on May 8th and don't have a real ID?
Okay, if you have a flight scheduled to fly in the United States on May 8th and you do not have an active passport and you do not have a real ID credential, either a driver's license or an identification card from some state, you will not be able to get on a commercial flight. So if you want to fly to Florida, you want to fly to Georgia, you're going to California to visit family and friends, flying within the United States, TSA is indicating you have to have one of the several list of identification documents that they will accept at the TSA checkpoint at the airport.
And so so let's also name that if people get behind the curve rather, and don't get one, if you're flying, your passport that's up to date and another list. We're not the TSA, so we don't have that list here. But you if you don't have a passport, you don't have a real ID, and if you don't have what could be 2, 3, 4 documents that you have to stand at the TSA checkpoint and prove, it's going to be very interesting for you. So that's a flight.
That's a flight.
One of the things that stood out to me when I was with working with DOL was that it also limits your entrance into federal buildings. Is that correct?
It could secure areas on federal buildings. So what I would just recommend, if any of your listeners have a need to visit a federal building on May 7th or after, or a nuclear power plant, why don't you call ahead and check with those sites about what their requirements are. But it's my understanding that they also would require one of the documents listed on the TSA or DHS, Department of Homeland Security website, for entry into some of the secure areas in those locations.
Secure areas. So you're not making a blanket statement of every federal building, presumably maybe a courthouse, things like that. But just I'm thinking in the time of, post April 15th.
Right.
People may want to go down to the IRS, which could be in a federal building. And so it's would you agree it's just with this to do your best to be better safe than sorry?
Yes. So, I just want to also call to attention is that in the fall, motor vehicle departments were on a journey with the federal government that we thought TSA was going to do something called phased enforcement, which meant that they weren't going to absolutely turn people away on May 7th. Recently, we've received more clarification. We've had a change in leadership at the federal level, and it seems that they are taking a more strict approach to expectations on May 7th, where you have to have one of the documents that they will accept listed at the DHS website, or you may risk being turned away from your flight.
Okay. I want to thank the comms team. I'm actually going to put, though we're not TSA, we do have a resource I'm going to put in the comments for the TSA required documents. Thank you, George, in the background there. So it's just so interesting that, as I said before, with so many changes in policies and the ways of doing things with the change in the federal administration, that's, why we're speaking to this today. I wanted to let you know that in the comments, we have 2 hyperlinks that even if you don't do it right now, we prefer you stay here and get the information in real time, but you can go back on the Java with Jimmy page, and James Hill's one isn't working, but you can get the comment in the comments, hyperlinks to resources. And so, Registrar, I wanted to also ask you, what when you were on before, you gave us an update. I made the joke about the trauma sometimes of dealing with the RMV and weights and things like that. In this particular case of talking about eligibility and getting real IDs, how's things at the RMV?
So I'm going to be honest, we are very popular right now. We are under high demand as we approach the deadline. As you indicated, we're kind of at the last hot minute here for compliance with Real ID. So we have over the last month seen really increased demand and interest from our residents, which is great. We want to help you be prepared. So my first message is don't panic. We're here to help you. So we have added a variety of appointments. We're open Monday through Friday everywhere of all of our sites. And in about 6 or 7 sites, we're open on Saturdays. So Haymarket office and right above the orange line stop at Haymarket, as well as our Revere office, are open on Saturdays, as well as Braintree. We have employees that are working overtime to serve customers. And while we are traditionally on the license ID side of the house, an appointment-based operation, we are allowing walk-ins right now because we know the crush of demand of employees and the crush and demand of our residents are that we need to pivot and be a little more flexible as we prepare for the deadline. And so what that means is we drop appointments every 30 minutes during the business day for all of our service centers. They are getting picked up very quickly. And so if you are somebody that's looking to get service and you can't seem to hit it right when the appointments drop, then you can walk in. So we say, check the checklist on our website, mass.gov/real ID, to confirm the identity documents that you need. You need to prepare for your visit. This isn't something that you can wing and easily get accessible to all the documents without preparing. Do the application so you can do a Real ID upgrade as part of a renewal, or you could do just an upgrade to a Real ID as a separate transaction in between your expiration. And then a message to everybody is you can renew your driver's license or identification card 1 year in advance of your birthday. So if you say expire in December, but you want the Real ID, you could come in now, we'll renew you and you'll upgrade. No extra cost.
So thank you. Because thank you. Because for some various reasons, not aware, they get ready to go, they get everything that's needed, and then the cost factor. So if I may ask you, you touched a couple of things there. Most of the folks, all right, let's start. A new person, 18-year-old that needs to get an ID. Presumably, you all are instituting that they are going to, anybody that's getting new IDs right now, if they have the requirements, you're giving them, giving them a Real ID, correct?
Yes, as long as they meet the identity requirements for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Then renewals of license or IDs, what their cost factors. So what is the cost factor for a new ID, just so folks know?
So for a brand new driver's license, you never had one, the total cost between your permit test, your road test, and the issuance of the license is $115. And that's for a 5-year driver's license.
Okay.
If you just want to upgrade to a Real ID and you're not expired, you're active, it's $25.
And then what if it's just an ID for an 18-year-old that's getting ready to go on spring break? $50. Okay. So those are cost factors, because for some it is an issue, $25, $50. Also the time factor and whatnot. But again, we can't reiterate enough that this is the website. Also, you can tell me right now, Registrar, what is the phone number for some of our seniors that, or just folks that don't want to do it on the internet? What is a phone number where people can call the registry?
So that one, you've stumped me on that one. So maybe George can help me and post that for me, because I'm drawing a blank right now. I apologize.
And we also
the old age is creeping in.
Listen, don't get me started. So this one thing here, we want to clarify that apply to get the real ID credential after May 7th. Even if someone misses the May 7th deadline, it doesn't mean that they're banned from. So thank you for that clarity. And George, if you can put the phone number in there too, we would really love you and appreciate you more. It doesn't ban you. This is something that
it's a product we'll continue to offer. So May 7th is the federal compliance date, but it's a product. We issue two types of driver's license and identification cards in Massachusetts, a standard that will say not for federal ID purpose on the document, and then the real ID credential. So it's a product we'll continue to offer.
Okay. All right. So because these are my seniors, I usually don't take questions without letting my guests know, but I think these are fine. My mom is asking, what about a senior? I'm presuming a senior wanting an ID. So presumably my mother's driver's license has expired, or she may just have an ID. And so, Ma, if you get any type of identification right now, as long as you have the documents, you can get a real, in your case, you would get an identification card, not a driver's license, but it would be a real ID as long as you have the documents.
Yes. The point of clarity I'd like to make is that the federal government requires us to do this transaction in person. So even if you've had a driver's license and ID card for a long time, if you want to get a real ID, that is an in-person transaction only. So you need to bring the documents to us in person, and we'll take care of you.
Okay. So that is a good thing to know, especially with talking about our seniors. And so I'll ask, just because it was a thought, are there any, outside of the walk, I guess the seniors would be more than likely try to walk in, or unless their family's making an appointment for them, because more than likely they would, be taking them. And so our seniors would more than likely take advantage of the walk-in to centers.
Yes.
Because it's just very different. They got to get in, get the documents together and whatnot.
Right, right. So the thing I want to call out is what we see, one of the challenges for the real ID is the name changes. So if you imagine an older individual has been married or divorced for a long time, the federal government requires us to see how that name has changed over time. So if you're somebody that has a birth certificate you're going to present to prove your lawful presence, and that has a different last name than how you're known today, we at the registry need to see, was there a marriage or divorce or a court name change that happened, and we need to see that documentation for each time the last name or the name was changed. So for somebody that's had a marriage and they're still married with that same name, it might be just the marriage certificate. For somebody that might have been married and divorced a few times, each time you've changed your name would need to see the documents of how you went from Susan Smith to Susan Ford to Susan Bennett.
Yep. Okay. And so let me go to another question. Sister Debbie, I would presume that there are some things often that may be able to be done in a AAA office, but I would presume here, because of what the registrar just said, the motor vehicle stuff that could possibly be done in a AAA office, or transactions that they may do for you, because of the requirements of in-person in the registry, you won't be able to do anything around the real ID in the AAA office.
No, actually you can. You can. AAA is doing the real ID upgrade. So
come on, Mr. Debbie, get the clarity here.
Yes, good, Deborah Studs. Thank you. So they are also an appointment-based operation, and they're seeing high demand, but they'll be happy to help customers that are members.
So if they have the papers, AAA can help process their real ID?
Absolutely. And there's 34 AAA locations in Massachusetts, so they are spread throughout the Commonwealth.
Okay. And Mother, I would presume the same cost as $50 for an ID. It doesn't matter if you're a younger person getting an ID or older one. Okay.
Right. The cost is the same.
Okay. All right. That's good. Well, I stand corrected.
So I'd like to, if it's okay with you, make a
Please.
clarification on the
Yes.
walk-in service.
Yes.
So we're very happy to serve walk-ins. And so the process that happens when you go into a service center is you walk in. We, in most cases, will have somebody greeting at the door. What we're trying to do is go through your documents and your paperwork to determine if you are ready for service that day for your real ID. If you're not, then we'll tell you what you're missing, and we'll make an appointment for either later that day, depending on when you think you can get the documents, or another day and time that week. That's our methodology. We also have what we call self-service printers in our service center that have been getting a great workout. So we'll say you come and you're missing one of your forms of residency requirements. You could go to a printer, log into an account, and print out that document to help you meet that requirement. So the printers, the self-service printers, are another option to help you fulfill some of your obligations. But certainly that won't help you necessarily like with your Social Security card. But these are documents that would be in your possession due to an account, like your bank statement or your mortgage statement or things like that.
Okay. I definitely, you know, from the first time you came on, I got the sense that, you know, I said to someone yesterday, how a entity functions is based on the helm and the leadership. And you definitely see like the flexibility and the, you know, what's the word? The customer service at the RMV. You know, some years ago, we were not able to say that, Registrar. So
no, I know. And, you know, sometimes there's instances, but, you know, we accept it. We're an oversight and a regulatory agency that has to meet requirements and also deliver service. So sometimes there's a balance, and we go on the wrong side of the balance at times, but those are all learning experiences, what we call moments of truth. And when those things happen and I know about them, we look at them, we discuss them, we say, do we need to make adjustments? Do we need to coach any of the people involved? And how do we improve from there? So it's always a learning experience opportunity.
Absolutely. And you definitely see that you guys, you know, implement what you hear from community, and then also the attempts to try to proactively get ready. And so to George's point, this has been a conversation for 20 years. It got pushed back a few times due to COVID and some other things and states getting ready. However, it is upon us. To the general public, your flow of daily life probably won't feel too much of this. However, if you're traveling and you don't have a passport and you don't want to go with 3 or 4, the worst thing is if I'm standing behind you and you're going through a folder with 4 documents, you don't want to be that person and make me that guy. So get your real ID. And so we have one more question before we go. Nisi said, are walk-ins being taken at the Faneuil Hall? That is the Haymarket, and walk-ins are being taken at all of the locations?
All of the locations we're taking the walk-in traffic, yes.
With the caveat of what you said, to see if someone comes in ready, it's sort of like a triage. They come in and walk in, but that doesn't mean that right after you do your checklist at the walk-in, you're going straight to the window to get your thing. You may have to get squeezed into, you know, appointment within the next half hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we try to be very honest with people. If we can get you right in, we'll tell you approximately how long it will take. So that way you can make a decision and say, if I have to wait that long today for this walk-in, I can't do it. I got to go pick up my children. And then we'll say, okay, how about tomorrow or the next day? And will this time work? So we really want to help everyone be successful. And if there's one more point I can make that in Massachusetts, we are a central issuance state, which means you do not get your permanent driver's license or identification card over the counter. It comes in the mail. So TSA will not accept temporary driver's license or identification cards. So April 23rd is really our estimate of the last day with surety you'll get your ID in the mail or your driver's license. Before May 7th, if you have travel on May 7th, 8th, or 9th, it's about 10 to 14 day mail process. And so I just want to make sure everyone is aware to plan accordingly, because certainly summer is a popular time to travel. And so get in sooner than later.
I got one other question. I'm sorry. To this point here, Nisi, my nephew just got his license. It wasn't told he needed a real ID, or he may have been asked, depending on his age. You know how we sometimes as young men are. No, I'm messing. But does he have to pay? Is there you know, if you got it within the last, I don't know, 60 days or something, can you come and switch it or no? Do you still have to pay the, she said he's a senior. Oh, he's a senior. So seniors, there's no senior discount for RMV fees, are there?
No. You mean like senior citizens? No.
Yeah.
No fee discounts, but it's a consumer choice about which way you want to go with the standard or the real ID.
Okay.
If somebody got a standard because either they didn't have all the documents but needed to renew or get their identification card or driver's license at the time of the visit, it's just $25 to upgrade to the real ID.
Okay, the upgrade is $25. Okay.
Yes.
And Obi, to your point, before we let the registrar go, and George has another note for us, probably with more good information. Obi, you can go here to mass.gov/real ID -ID to get the checklist and the information. Real-time question. Never mind. It's a federal issue. I'll give commentary when you get off the screen.
Okay.
Yes. All right. We have a link here for the checklist. We're going to put that right. George, I thank you. You've got a wonderful team over there, registrar. I am going to put that right in the comments. So Obi, you have the direct link to download the requirements needed, and the simplified checklist is documents required for real ID transaction include a proof of lawful U.S. presence, your regular ID or passport, 2 proofs of Massachusetts residency, preferably a utility bill, and or 2 documents that were issued from a state or federal agency, and or it could possibly be your voter registration. All the addresses have to match.
I believe so. I'm not familiar with the voter registration looks like off the top of my head, but if it's a piece of mail that comes to your address that shows your residency.
Okay. And a proof of a full social security number, namely your social security card or something that has your social security on it that is a preferably federal document, W-2, something like that. So that was just a quick run. And some other clarity. Customers who are 65 years of age or older have disability can call the RMV at a different number. George, thank you. This is what we do. If you have a disability, you can call this number here to call rather than trying to do it on the internet. Or if you are a care provider, this is a number where you can call and get assistance for the senior with whom you're working. And for all of the information about the Real ID, you can go to mass.gov/Real ID. Registrar, as always, thank you for being with us. Thank you for presenting this information in such a, it's very serious, but thank you for not making. And I loved how you said, and let's just reiterate 2 things. One, you said you're here because you want to make folks aware, but you don't want them to panic.
Right.
And also to George's point, May 7th is the deadline. I'm sorry, words matter. May 7th is the federal date of compliance.
Yes.
The process is as you said, this is a product that the RMV is going to continue.
Yes, right. Exactly. So it's the security checkpoints will get stricter starting May 7th.
And if you're looking to travel. And so the other thing is the RMV may do what it does here at the state and put the stuff in the mail, but to get an agency that has nothing to do with you, you don't want to wait until April 23rd because another registrar, get off the screen before I get you in trouble. Please give the governor my best, and we shall talk soon. And as you know, always, please keep us abreast of any information we need to get out to the community. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your platform and your graciousness to let me share this message. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you. And George, I usually don't shout out the support folks in the background that much, except for with the mayor. But George, thank you for making sure we have all the information, the links, and the numbers in the background. So thank both of you for being with us.
All right. Take care. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Folks, this is definitely some important information that you need to get out. Please share and like, and we'll put some reels out with the information in a few minutes. For folks that might be their citizenship status may be interesting, I would probably suggest you call. I didn't want to ask this of the registrar while she was on. Just any buffers around, the people who aren't fire, opposite of fire. Nice. So there is also a citizenship day coming up, being sponsored by the mayor's office in the city of Boston. I will share that information with you as well. And also Citizenship Day. There is also a civic engagement summit coming up that the city of Boston is doing as well. Citizenship Day. Hold on. Citizenship Day, Boston. Let me just get that information. So on it was a Saturday. Okay. We're going to get ready to wrap up. I'm going to check the comments. Wasn't able to say good morning to everyone. Just on a programming note, George is there. You're welcome, George. What was I going to say? Brendan, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the room. Sharon Cornelius, good morning. Michelle D. Smith says, thankfully, I got my real ID when I had to renew it in 2018, which was convenient for attending a maternal family reunion in DC that summer. Also, Dina, I'm sorry, I didn't see your question. Obi, hopefully we answered yours. To Dina's point, appointments work best. Nisi, excuse me, I believe we got your question answered with the $25. I think that is it for me this morning. Citizenship Day passed. It was on April 12th. Also, keep in mind on May 10th is the next youth job fair. On May 10th is also a couple of other things going on. As of right now, May 17th is the date for the Your Healthy Java Joseph R. Betancourt Health Fair. I'm just waiting to get confirmation because I had to change the date. And so y'all pray. Oh, I think I told y'all I got clarity. Red Cup Awards is going to be in the fall. We're not going to do it in June. It's going to be in the fall. So stop holding and waiting for the June date. That's going to be in the fall. I think that's it for dates. The last thing I believe is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Dina Cundiff or Dina is coming back from No Stones Thrown Counseling. She's going to talk about the work she does with autism awareness and also just check in with us about the Adaptive Aquatics event that is taking place on Saturday, April 26th in collaboration with the city of Boston and the Boston Center for Youth and Families. So please plan to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And then on Wednesday at 10 a.m., ABCD Health Services is coming back, and we're going to talk about mental health awareness with them on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we are welcoming the Boston Athletic Association, Jack, the president and CEO, and also Lauren, I believe, that works with community engagement and just around the marathon race, is going to come and kick off marathon weekend with us on Thursday at 10 a.m. So we have some great programming for you this week. You all don't see me by myself until next week. So there won't be a shot of Java until next week. Senator Ed Markey will be coming to speak with us soon. Also, a couple of other folks. So we're getting back into the swing of things, you all. Also, later this week or next week, it depends if I can get access to some things early. We'll be making an announcement this week, just a celebratory and just some information to share with you all. All right, I think that's it for me. It is 10:43. D Lavender, how are you? Sis from New Life back in the day. Deacon. D, you just got your alb. Me and her get that. Kelly said, good morning, Kelly. I love your icon. Thanks for this. I have unexpected travel and did not have mine upgraded yet. So this was incredibly. Listen, Kelly, this is why we keep doing what we're doing, to make sure that folks have the information. So a lot of people have made some travel plans. So that being said, got y'all all set with dates. This Saturday, April 19th at the Reggie Lewis Track and Athletics Center. It's marathon weekend for the 4th, 21, 22, 22, 23, 24. I think this is my 4th year hosting the Black Unicorns event. This is an event where black and brown runners from all across the world come together. Sister Adrienne and her team, they have been holding space for these black and brown runners from around the world that come into Boston to tell them, suggest to them where to eat, to have events for them to understand that there is black and brown culture here in Boston. And so shout out to the Boston Athletic Association that supports that event. Shout out to the Black Unicorns, and please plan to join us at the Reggie this Saturday. Shoot, hold on. That was Alexa. Milagro, don't say anything. Okay. We're going to get ready to get off of here, and we will see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Dina Cundiff from No Stones Thrown Counseling. I will be there volunteering for the Black Unicorn Marathon Club, helping my sister friend Adrienne. So yes, good to see you there. It will be good to see you there, Michelle. That's it. Yes, that was Alexa. So we're out of here. UCB, you get an hour. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a great. Where's Miss Teresa? I didn't see Miss Teresa in here today. Oh, there she. Hi, Miss Teresa. She was the first comment. All right. See you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a great day. I'm waiting for Milagro's comment about Alexa. She must have missed it. Okay. 3. Oh, here's a new one. Come on, Milagro. No Alexa comment? Okay. She missed her chance, y'all. Oh, my mother says she's sleeping. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Again, thank you for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. and talk to you soon. Peace.